Wrong recording. Okay, we're good.
Okay, today is Wednesday, April 24th. This is the Community Preservation Committee meeting for the for the town of Bridgewater. It's 6:30 p.m. I will call the meeting to order. Present for members are myself, Gina Guasconi, Chair, Carlton Hunt, Vice Chair, Harry Bailey Jr., William Smith, Jeff Merriman, and that's it so far for members. Chair's announcements. I just have a few quick ones. We are in good shape money wise, and we'll address that more in the financial when we review financial reports further into the meeting. Uh, I'm not sure how many of our committee members are aware of this. You all should have, when you were appointed and received your appointment letter from the town, you should have also received a link to the handbook, volunteers handbook. That link goes out with the notification that you've been appointed. I'm not sure how many have read it. If you have read it, great. I suggest rereading it. I reread it a couple months back, and it just reminded me of so much. So I encourage people to read that. And as I said, if you've read it, just take a glance at it again. Last thing is the coalition. I probably sound the CPA coalition for the state. I probably sound like a broken record telling people I recommend looking at the newsletter and subscribing to it. It's great information that comes out from the coalition. We got community preservation in different towns and updates on budgets, but also along with the handbook training for the town, the coalition is running what they call a boot camp training, and it's on June 18th. I've attended it before, probably a couple times. It's a great training. I think it goes about an hour. I can send out information on that. But even if you've seen it, it's a great refresher again. Okay, and that's it for me for comments, short and sweet.
I see that
Next,
Maureen's joined us also.
okay, great. Maureen Nation is also with us. Thank you, Carlton. Public comment. Okay, hearing none. We'll go. Excuse me, I keep losing my voice tonight. Item D, approval of the meeting minutes for May. We're not into May yet. March 27th. Josh, did we get that straightened out? I know there was.
Nope. Sorry, I'll have to resubmit them for you guys.
Okay, no problem. For the rest of the committee, what the issue is, it looks like what Josh had attached them. They didn't attach good, so he's just going to go back and do that. And we'll
Yeah, I looked back and it was missing half of the meeting. So big
okay,
chunk.
okay, good. So we'll just hold off on that until the May meeting. So we'll do March and April at the same time. Moving right on to review, excuse me, review of financial reports. As I said, looks like we're in good shape. Josh, can you put that up on the screen? We
Yeah.
like to
Yes.
attach it with the packet, but we didn't receive it until just this week.
Yeah, Lori's been a
A
little
little,
backed up with the budget.
I can imagine she wrote last night at like 10 o'clock for something. Okay.
He's digging through 500,000 files.
I can
Quite a
imagine.
few.
There it is.
Oh, here we go.
Can you make
Okay.
it bigger, please?
Yes.
You-
Uh,
You can pinch it out too, Colin. Great. Okay. It looks like we still have, if you look at the real estate surcharge, as you said before, if it's red, it's a positive. If it's black, it's a negative, which is weird because it's everything else is the opposite. Under the surcharge, we still, it looks like we're 118,000 short, but we haven't got, that doesn't account for the May 1st taxes due date. We've been averaging over close to 250,000 per quarter so far in the surcharge, so we should hopefully surpass that 118,000. Other things, the state revenue match is more than we anticipated, and also 109,000 in interest is very good. Looking at expenses, right below that, we have a few things. The pickleball courts, we had voted a couple months to close that account, so that just needs to be taken off the books. Summer Street, as we've said before, that 313,900 is set to be paid. There's just a problem who to actually pay it to. So we've asked that be put into a separate account so it doesn't keep showing on our report. I think everything else is still self-explanatory. Brett Street, 2 lots. We're just waiting to make sure all bills have been paid before we can vote to close that out. So after all the encumbered items, in the third chart over to the right, we have about $1.5 million available. So we're in good shape, especially since we're towards the end of the fiscal year. Administrative expenses, 46,500. A lot of that, like I think it's 37,000 or so, will go for our 5-year plan. So we'll still have funds in there. Any questions or comments on that?
I have a quick note. In terms of available money, if you look at what's available in unappropriated funds, and if we're thinking about open space issues, we have about $808,000 that we could use towards open space purchases of that kind of thing. I'll call it cash, but it's just unappropriated funds. The other reserves are all shown on the upper right part. And I think the only other thing I wanted to say was basically like Gina said, we do have some things to finish up with the Broad Street properties. So that's going to take some money. We don't know how much, but we can't close that, as Gina said, until we get that done and then the final report.
Okay, good. Thank you. And Carlton, how did you come up with that? I think you said 800 and something thousand.
If you add the line that says fund balance, CPA reserve for expenses, that's an assigned amount from last year's budget that we can access. So that's 264. And then the other one is the open space reserve is 123,000 and change. And the final one is the undesignated fund balance is about 420,000. So when you add those all up together, it comes out to be about 808,000. So in reality, depending on what we think is happening down the road, we could put my term cash towards a purchase of some kind.
Great, thank you. Makes sense. I had missed when you originally said the reserve for expenses, but good. That's good. Anybody else have any questions on that? Okay, moving on to old business applications received. Senior Center Community Gardens, if you remember at the last meeting, we had voted to return it to the senior center, basically because not much was allowable under CPC. Last I heard, they were reworking it and possibly going to resubmit just for what is CPC eligible. Hanson's Farm, if anybody has anything to add or questions as I'm going on, just jump right in. Hanson's Farm, we asked today for an update from the town manager. Negotiations, I'm trying to find his answer here. Negotiations are still in process. Hold on one second before I.
Gina, I can read the response if you want.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically we're waiting for the attorneys to finish a negotiation, and we're also waiting for the Hanson Farm, the Hanson's attorney, to actually get back in touch with our attorney. So the negotiation's a bit on hold, and I know that the Hansons had a few changes that I think we talked about at the last meeting, but that negotiation can't go forward and finish until the two attorneys get together. So hopefully it'll be done by the next meeting in May.
Great, thank you. The town also is looking to submit a MVP grant for funding to help with the acquisition of Hanson's Farm. That is in process. It's due Friday. The town manager's office is submitting it on Friday. The issue is we're hoping, keeping our fingers crossed, that it will be eligible for the grant for this year. But the town manager wasn't sure if, well, we don't have an agreement with the Hansons. There's nothing formal in place yet, if it will be eligible for a grant this year. I believe it's a reimbursable grant, so we'd have to have something in place. But if it is accepted for this year, we'll find out in, I believe, September, if we're a recipient. If they're looking for some type of agreement, it may have to hold off to submit for that grant for next year. I hope I said that right.
What he also said is if the negotiated purchases is completed by the award date, and the award date, as we indicated, is in September each time frame, and hopefully well before that, then we could potentially receive the award. If not, we'll just have to wait until the following year's whatever they call it, scopes are opened up so we can apply then. And the MVP means Municipal Vulnerability Program. Josh, is that correct? Municipal Vulnerability Plan?
Yep, that's correct.
And so basically it has to do with some vulnerability type things that could play in the Hanson Farm, wetlands, that kind of stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Keep our fingers crossed in the meantime. BFB project updates, active project styles and hot improvements. I believe the bid was awarded. Josh, correct me if I'm wrong. The bid was awarded for improvements, and work is being done for that.
We also we had to ask specifically for a task list, things that CPC program would be funding, but also what would be eligible from the grant that the town has, because that's a reimbursable grant. Once we spend the money, we can ask for certain things. So we did receive that task list from the contract. So we have the towns responded to us and given us that information.
Mm-hmm. And I
Carlton, did that
believe
need to get sent to the committee? I think I just sent it to you and Gina.
Probably
Okay,
a good
no,
idea.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll make a note to
Right.
do that.
Okay. Thanks, Josh. What I was going to say went out as quick as it went into my head. Then it'll come back to me. We did get a grant for, I believe, CPC had awarded 1.3 million for the improvements. We did get, as part of a reimbursable grant, approximately 418,000 grant back towards that. So that helps. It cuts it.
And also the bid came in at a little over 800,000. So our 1.3 million, we have a potential for a significant amount of money to be returned sometime next year once this program, that's Thousand Hearts done. 1.3 million, 800,000 that if we didn't have a grant, we'd spend. So that leaves us what, 500,000, and then we could get back 400,000. So we could get back close to 800 or 900, maybe $1 million on the CPC accounts.
That's great. That's great. Thank you.
Let's hope.
Right. Yep. Keep those fingers crossed again. Okay. Hemlock Drive window replacement. I believe a grant agreement has been signed. So they should, if they haven't started work already, they should be starting soon. Parthenon Freeze. Parthenon Freeze should have been installed by now. As we said before, there, and Carlton can elaborate on this. The structure of the wall where it was going to be hung needed to be checked, and it was checked, and hopefully it'll be structurally sound once they do what they have to do. In the meantime, Clark Fine Arts, who did the restoration, was nice enough to store the freeze. They can no longer store it. So they've made arrangements, which the town manager has approved. It'll come out of his budget to have it stored someplace else. Carlton, more to add?
Yeah, there is some effort to get this freeze project completed sooner rather than later, but I'm getting mixed messages as to when it's going to happen. Some people are saying in a couple months, others say it'll be next week. So we just, CPC needs to just begin to, because the town clerk put this in, and town clerk will be no longer town clerk after May 6th. We just need to pay close attention to what that project is and where it's going. I'll speak to this issue later when I talk about the plaques and stuff. So the engineering's been done. I don't know if the contractor has, and maybe Josh knows if a contractor has been signed up and if they have a schedule. I just don't know. But hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Sorry, I don't have an update on that, Carlton. I think most of it's coming through Chris Hartman right now.
Well, actually, it's under Azu.
Okay, Azu, yeah. And we
they're
really
looking for an independent person to do the installation work, that kind of thing.
If you wanted to send an email and just CC me on it, and I'll be sure to keep track. Be happy to do it that way, but I haven't had any updates from them.
Okay, and
I'll take that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I also just sent an email to the town manager yesterday saying, with just a couple of questions. One of them was that, from what I saw from correspondence between the town manager and different folks regarding this, it sounded to me almost like he was going to have somebody else install them other than Clark Fine Arts. Part of what we awarded the funds for included installation. And I had written to Michael saying that we would like to have, where it's CPC funds, and it was part of the award, we would like to have Clark Fine Arts do the installation, where it's their trade. They know how to hang them. They've hung many fine arts before. So, Josh, if you can just keep on top of that too.
Yeah, and for the record, I will say that the town manager has agreed to pay the transport for the pickup, the transportation to pick up the frieze from the restoration firm over to where they're going to be stored. That's about, in round numbers, a $500 cost. They have to rent a truck and pay people to move them. They'll be stored, but the storage fee is $250 a month. And the sooner they can come down here, the less the town has to pay outside for that piece. But if it takes 2 months to do it, it's going to take something like $1,000 out of the town, another town account, to cover the storage.
Great, thank you. Questions on that? Okay. Summer Street, it's in the process. I don't know if you've seen, if you haven't seen, I encourage you to. The town has put out a nice little video about the property. It's Michael Dutton with Melissa Desjardins, who did some of the design for it. And at the end of it, I believe there's a link asking for suggestions for uses. So I encourage people to look at that. I saw it on Facebook. I believe it's probably on the town webpage too.
It's also there. I've actually done this. It's an actual survey. It's maybe, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 questions that are very focused, and I thought it was very well done. What they're looking for is public input through, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, I think the end of June is what they want to have the public input on. And so the town will compile all those concepts. It's, what do you want to do with it? Do you like this? Do you don't like this? There's a set of really nice questions, and plenty of room for people to make suggestions as to what they think that former mobile station parcel should become as a park. But there's also other things that need to be completed. We have some money left, but they need to do the deed filing, because any acquisition of real property by CPA funds, which we did 2/3 of that cost of that project, that has to have a deed restriction on it. We had to have a deed restriction holder, that kind of stuff. So those are all pieces that are in play.
Do you know if it has to be designated a park? Do you know if that's been done yet?
To my knowledge, they're working on it. But again, I'm not sitting at the table like Josh does, so I don't know.
Josh, you're on the hot seat. Right. Okay, good. Thank you. C, next project updates, completed projects.
Gina, could I ask that you add something? The Broad Street project, the 2 parcels that we took, and you mentioned briefly in the financial report, there's about $36,000 left.
Yep.
That also requires a deed restriction. That's in process. I think, don't quote me on this one, but I think it's with Wildlands Trust, who holds the deed restriction on the Greater Stiles and Hart part. So that's being done, and we have to complete that restriction. So there are a number of costs getting that to a place where we can close out on it. But the money has been transferred to the owner.
Great, thank you.
Former owner.
Thanks. For some reason, that property gets left off our agenda every month, and we have to put it on. I think because we just take from the month before. Okay, great. Thank you. Project updates, McKelling School. Josh submitted the final report for that to everyone in the packet. Does anybody have any questions, concerns?
Hopefully people had a chance to look. It's a very brief, I think, thorough. It's not totally comprehensive, but it's brief. It has the financial information in it, and it has some images of what CPA helped pay for and some statements on it. So hopefully people have had a chance to look at it so we can actually vote to close that project.
Great. Yeah, it was a short one, just a few pages, so it's not a lot to read it. Do
Did you need me to put it up on the screen?
Sure. Great. Thanks, Josh.
Yep.
He's digging through 600,000 now.
I was ready this time.
Okay, you can.
So this is the first page.
So it basically has project information, who's the owner, who we awarded, how much was awarded. It includes a table of how much the town provided, which was for housing, it was 1.2 million and change. And for the recreation, the park that's been built there, the playground that's been built there, 135,000. So the town provided 1.345 million, $1,345,000. The next column that we've insisted on having is what did the total project cost? So when you look at that, you see that the housing cost was about 3,800. The recreation, again, it's all the same number, but so the total project cost was about $23,800,000, of which CPC provided 5.5% towards that project. I think and this is one of the most significant affordable housing projects in the state of Massachusetts. And so then the next page, sliding down, just has a very quick, brief textual summary of what was done. So I don't know if people want to have it read or not, but basically, it's my feeling that the town, now that you've seen this, that we can actually do a motion to approve and close the project, or close the project.
I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, of course.
Quick question first. What's on the screen doesn't have a signature on it? Josh, do we have a signed copy?
I can get it signed.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Good point.
If members, CPC members, are fine with it, I'll entertain a motion to accept the final report and close the account.
Yeah, that's fine.
Second.
Okay, Bill and Carlton. Okay, any discussion? Hearing roll call, Josh?
Gina?
Yes.
Carlton?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next, the townhouse. It's Carlton can probably fill in more on this, but it's pending a final cost information report.
Yeah, there was some question about how everything was laid out. That got resolved a couple months ago. We've been told that the historic architect who oversaw the project is in the process of submitting a final report. What we've asked for is a similar document for the CPC in terms of how much money the CPC provided, how much of our money was spent, because I think there is some left to be spent. How much other funding was. There were some grant money, other things that came in. So we're looking for that report to come in, and we can't close that project until we have final accounting. But the deed restriction on that building is held by Mass Historic. That was since they provided a lot of the money, they put the deed restriction in place, and I believe that restriction has been sent to the town for filing. So there may be a little bit of cost to file that deed restriction, but that's where we're at. And again, that's another project we'd like to get closed out by this next May meeting.
Great, thank you. Questions, comments on that? Okay, moving on. Oh, Bill, go ahead. No,
I was just going to ask if we have any idea how the building is going to be used, if it's going to be used as some kind of historical museum? I know there's been a lot of talk, or are those decisions still in the air?
They're in the ether right now.
Yep.
Ether meaning there's no air. So there's a lot of work been done. It's been used as a storage facility. A lot of the things that were in there, a lot of metal cabinets and that kind of thing has been removed. The town clerk removed 27 tables that the clerk's office owns for elections. That was removed and moved over to the middle school at the last election a month ago. But the movement towards reuse is kind of in a hiatus. The committee that was looking at the reuse made their recommendations some time ago. So the ball is in somebody else's court. One of the things that has been suggested, because I've been in the basement and have seen water in the basement and there's no heat in the building, and as energy committee chair, one of the things is a possibility, and I had a conversation this week with the town manager, and Josh was there. We had a conversation about, can we do anything to improve and get energy heating into that building so it's not just sitting there with moisture and decaying.
Right.
And so that's something that's on the table. And there are some funds for the green communities that a grant potentially, I'm going to say tentatively, could be applied for decarbonization, but that also requires a lot of study of the building. And so one of the things I've asked for is a historical architect, specifically Joe Booth from down in New Bedford, who oversaw the project, to come in and really take a hard look at the restoration of the basement, the water leakage, the clean out, some of the storage facilities. So I would like the town to get a professional opinion as to what we need to do with that basement to get it properly functioning.
Right.
The heating part is a bigger challenge because we don't know how much the interior of the building would be redone. There's a lot of ceiling area that the old ceiling's up there, but they put a suspended ceiling in some time ago, and some of those parts have fallen down. So there's a lot of thinking that needs to go into the actual restoration of the building. And the things that I've read suggest quite strongly that we get this kind of historical architect to come in and really make an assessment of what the building should be. I think maybe we can take an action for the next meeting to get a better report from the town manager's office of what they're doing. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. So really nothing has been done with the interior of the building in terms of restoration.
None.
Yeah.
Well, they have the money that was used to restore the building, put the new roof on.
Right.
We paid for the roof, some of the roof. We paid for the pediment restoration, and we paid for the hidden gutters. Plus, we provided $20,000 match to the state's contract. So that hasn't been fully worked out yet. That's why we need the financial report from the historic architect.
Yeah.
So from a restoration perspective, it's all been exterior.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you for the question and the update. Okay, moving on, administrative accounts, FY23 carryover, recognition, plaques and signage.
Oh, no, the old State Farm. Okay, got it.
Oh, okay. I checked it off as we were talking, as we were going to do it. Old State Farm Trails has been, I received something from Kitty Doherty the last week or so. Those trails have actually attracted national attention for how they're being done. She has a meeting coming up with at BSU with some of, or I think students that are involved with that type of trail. That's coming up. She's thrilled. She's looking to combine, not just her, Taunton River Watershed is looking to put the three bridge waters to connect them on the river, to have the three towns work together. It doesn't sound like she'll be looking for more CPC money. She's received lots and lots for different grants and private donations. But I think it's great that the work done on the trails has garnered national attention, which is great.
Could I add something? Since
Sure.
all the funds that CPC provided that the state used to map out the trails, do the survey, do all the wetlands delay, all that kind of thing, those funds have all been spent. So what I'm asking for is a final report, just like we went over for some of the other projects, that talk about how the CPC money was spent and that it's closed out, maybe some pictures, whatever it is. So that's just an action that we need to have done. And I hate to do it to you, Josh, but can you help push that forward?
Yep.
Josh, I can write to Kitty too and ask her for an update. Take one thing off of you for it. So you only have.
Unfortunately, the monkey's going to fall on Josh because he's been doing these final reports. So
right, but at least to get the info from Kitty, and then he can put it together.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Administrative account recognition plaques and signage. Carlton, an update.
Yeah, I have submitted a list with text for I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but for about 8 or 10 plaques. I've also worked out that some of them would be etched. If they're etched, we can put the town seal on it. Like we said at the last meeting, we have permission from the Historical Commission and the Historic Bills Organization.
District Commission, yep.
So we have permission from the town, them and the town clerk, and it's now officially in the records that the CPC can use the town seal on this type of thing. The problem I ran into, and sorry if this is redundant to some of you, but if we put a seal on a three-dimensional metal plaque, the cost goes through the roof because it takes a lot to forge it, and then it also takes a lot to attach it. So I made the decision that some of these plaques would be a thin aluminum plaque, interior, and I've been working with Bridgewater Trophy for the right sizing, the right font types and everything. And those particular plaques could be attached to a wall and be interior. There are some exterior ones that would not have the town seal on it, but for example, the Memorial Building access ramp and the stanchions there, the safety stanchions, we could attach it to there. So I'm in the process, and I talked with John today or yesterday, and he's going to, and I've already looked and approved certain, two of the plaques that I'm talking about, because he wants to look at the proofs. Then I approve the proof, and then he does submission, and it comes back. So he's going to send me a cost document for all the plaques that we've talked about in the past. I'm hoping that action can be done, and I can get it before, get it in, and hopefully we'll see invoices before the end of the year. I'm going to be gone in June. So if this comes in before the end of the year, we'll have to have Gina deal with the invoicing and stuff. But that's where we're at. And then the installation, if we can't get them installed until I get back later, we'll just have to work on it then.
Now we've already carried over the funds. So do we need to, and I can check this with the finance director, if we need to again carry those over into next year, or just carrying over once suffices it?
That's a question that I think you need to work out, or we need to work out with Lori. I believe you may have to request carryover another year.
Okay, I'll check
and
that.
Remember, we carried over, just speaking of that, remember, we carried over three activities from FY23. Number one was the plaques. Number two was the deed restriction for the Central Square Church. That has gone away, so that money is available. It was carried over, but it's available and eventually may come back to our undesignated fund. And the third one was
the Hanson's appraisal.
The Hanson's appraisal. The $12,000 that we funded for that has been spent, and under new business, we'll have a conversation about some additional funding.
Good, thank you. What I'd like to add into under old business is the 5-year plan. Wasn't on the agenda.
Oh.
It's something that has been carried on monthly for our agenda. It's an ongoing project. The contract has been signed with J.M. Golson. I believe it starts, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, June 1st, the end of May, roughly there. And Jen Golson will be conducting public hearings, not public hearings, just public meetings to get input from folks. I believe our tentative date to approve the five-year plan is next fall. So we have all summer to work on it for her to do all her hearings and not hearings, I'm sorry, I keep saying hearings, all her meetings, and consolidate the information into a report. Anything
I need to update you. I did have a communication with the Goldson's company, Jennifer specifically, because I'm going to be gone when the contract officially starts. I had requested if it's okay that she and I and you meet and her team meet just to go over some high level focusing at that, and then she'll come in and do the other work. And she's given me a date that I know is open on my calendar. So I will be in touch with you, but that's just to be full disclosure. We will have since the contract is signed now, we will have a brief management team conversation.
Great. And I hope that all our members will participate in the different meetings.
But I think her scope includes talking with all the major departments, committees, et cetera, that actually have something to do with CPC activities, open space, recreation, historic, and also housing. And the housing piece is probably the least defined as how we do things in housing here. And with the passage last night by the town council of the form-based code underneath the MBTA legislation that was passed by the town council last night, that's being sent to the state for their review. The attorney general and I believe the housing department at the state has to review that particular zoning ordinance that was passed. And if they want changes, they'll send it back down. But that is now in process. So I think it's really important. And that actually is a housing type. It really focuses on housing, that MBTA zoning. So I think it's really important for CPC and to actually, and the 5-year plan to actually have a focus on housing, especially around that new zoning and what we need to do for housing in terms of this housing crisis in the state as well as nationally.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
I know I sound like back to my broken record for the coalition newsletter, but there was an article today, not today, this last email version of the newsletter concerning housing. I can't remember off the top of my head what town, but if you look back to a couple newsletters, they're always highlighting housing. So that's something to look at. And again, I encourage CPC members, not just the CPC members, but the boards that they represent all get involved in the meetings. Would like as much input from the different committees in town as we can. Okay, new business. In your packet was a letter from the town manager about the Hanson Farm appraisal at engineering cost. We had last year awarded out of our administrative funds, administrative account 12,000 for the appraisal. It actually came in at 15. So the town manager is requesting another 3,000.
Josh,
You have
put
the letter
on?
that Josh attached.
Yeah, the letter from the packet.
Yes.
Yeah, the letter, the town manager's letter requesting additional funding for the appraisal.
Yep. Give me just a second here.
And since this is new business, it's important, and to get this piece closed out, it's important that we take a vote as to whether or not we want to fund that. Can you make it a little bigger, please?
Yep.
Thank you. So basically, the cost is 3,000. They because of the wetlands and some other things, they need to do quite a bit more engineering in terms of delineating that kind of stuff, and that was an unanticipated cost. I personally believe it's a legitimate cost for CPC to cover. So it's up to the committee whether or not you wish to do that.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to just make a quick note on this letter.
Oh, there's a misspelled word.
The regarding, it does say Hanson's Farm, but in the text it's Hasten Farm. I just wanted to be noted it is Hanson Farm.
Good catch.
Just in case somebody looks and says, what is a Hasten Farm? But I agree. The $3,000 was part of the appraisal. I think it's a legit cost.
And I will add, sorry, Gina.
Sure.
I very quickly want to add, we went over the budget that we have available, and since the Jennifer Goldson's bid came in about $5,000 less than we were anticipating, we have money in the FY24 budget to fiscal year budget to cover that in admin funds.
Okay. Any questions, comments, discussion? If none, I'll entertain a motion to cover that request.
So moved.
Was that
Second.
Bill and Harry? Okay. In your motion, could I ask you to add to be paid from the administrative account?
That number would be
573. No, 530000.
53 with 4 zeros. That's the account number.
Correct. Bill, can I ask you to put that into your motion?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But wait a minute,
Great.
Gina. That's the carryover from last year. We need a different one. They're all 530.
No, that's right.
Ah, my bad.
Actually, you know what? They're both the same account.
It's same account number. So
yeah.
just simply add that it would be from the FY24 admin account expenses.
Okay. Okay, I'm just writing my little note to myself too. Okay, great. Harry, you agreed to that addition for the motion?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, hearing Josh, roll call.
Gina.
Yes.
Carlton.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Harry.
Yes.
Maureen.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Next, CPC document posting to the CPC webpage. Josh has been posting a lot of our things on our webpage, our page on the town website. I was looking at it today. There's a lot of information on it. Good job, Josh. Putting it up there.
I'm gonna add that Gina and I will be meeting with Josh early next month to go over that web page and try to design it a little bit more so that we carry a lot of the information that the committee votes on. For example, we receive an application, maybe we should post that, an award letter. If we make a recommendation, that would be in the minutes, but the council, once the council appropriates money, we need an award letter, or in the case of non-municipal awards, we need a grant agreement. So having those posted up there in some order, some systematic way, we're going to talk a bit about that. And then also we're going to talk a bit about the final report, making sure a project has start to finish documentation on the CPC website.
Great, thank you.
Do we have photos of projects and things like that on the website?
It's a requirement for reports to provide photos. So when we get the final report, that's when we would get those. That's another issue with the townhouse. We need photographs of before and after type photos.
I'm just thinking of, people who
would be interested in seeing the photos of everything that we do.
Good point.
Right. I think it's good to have before and after photos. An example of pickleball courts. We showed the stages of them being built, the empty lot, the start, right up to the finished project.
Good.
So I think that's good to include in the reports.
And for the memorial building, I had put together a PowerPoint for the exterior accessibility ramps. I'd put together a PowerPoint, and that's been posted up to the CPC website. So that's the historic record.
Good. Thank you.
We need a full-time webmaster.
We do. That goes into Josh's 6,032.
Poor Josh.
Yeah.
And that's just for us.
And then hit that by 32. So
I'll second Bill's motion.
Yeah. Okay. Next is, it shows on your agenda, GEC as brought up by the committee. I sent out a packet yesterday afternoon, including a cover letter and an application from our town clerk for another, how many days, Marilee? Are you counting? Oh, she's muted here.
She may be sitting muted for a minute. May 6th. Yeah. But she did submit a request and modified the amounts because I know we have a book that's a death book, a record of all the deaths from the 1800s through early 1904, something like that. And Josh, if you do share, I can, I'm going to try to share my screen and find those documents. There they are.
I'm here if you want me for it.
We got copies, didn't we, today?
Well, the images I'm showing you, I want to show you images of the books.
We didn't get those, I don't think.
And
okay, no, those were taken today. While either Josh or Carlton, whoever's bringing them up to share, I just want to, the original request was for 1,500. Marilee, in talking with the binding company today, found that the price has more than drastically increased. She's talked to a couple other companies. I have a request from her to jump in a new application, which we haven't got out to you. We got this afternoon. It's basically, it is the same application. The amount is just changing to $3,000.
So if you can see my screen, and I can't tell if you can.
Nope.
No, okay. Josh, I'm going to have to work with you a little bit here. If I click share screen, I should be able to go to my where it is, right?
Yep, a little box will pop up.
Okay, so now is anything showing up for you guys?
Nope.
Oh, I see. There's a share thing here. Okay. Now can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so these things right over top. So that's the book. And I'm going to try to figure out how I can get to the next. Sorry about this. I'm not good at this. This is an example. Can you see that?
Yep.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
an example of see the binding in here. It's all separating and getting loose.
Can you enlarge it,
hand,
Carlton?
what's that?
Can you make it larger?
How's that?
Didn't change. Oh yeah, there.
So see where the binding here is coming apart. It's handwritten, and the handwriting from back then is way better than anything I could do ever. So this is another example. And then the last example is some of the pages are, just hang in there. You see how everything is kind of loose and that kind of thing in this particular one. I don't know how to figure out how to make this bigger. So
But we can see that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there you see some more of what the town clerk has submitted to us. And I'm going to stop sharing because I think I'm going to stop sharing unless someone wants to stay there. Okay.
And I know Marilee said that a lot of people consult this book, people who are doing genealogies and so forth, that it's used off. Where is it kept? In the town clerk's office?
In the vault, Bill.
Uh-huh. In the vault?
With all of our books. We have many, many books.
Uh-huh.
And we keep them in the vault. This one was rebound in, I think, 1982.
Yep.
So that kind of gives you an idea of how many years it takes the wear and tear on it.
Yeah. So it's been used.
Yeah, we use it quite often. We use all of them quite often.
Any other questions or comments, discussion? As I said, I do have an updated request I got from Marilee this afternoon. After her conferring with the binding companies, and her request has gone up to 3,000. She thinks it may be a little high and the funds will be returned, but we want to make sure that it's covered, the amount.
What we were concerned about, Gina, is the binder who called us is in East Freetown, and he's very elderly. He's very, very excellent. We've used him for years, and he was up talking to us yesterday, and he was the one who told me like 1,500, and then he went back and to buy the supplies have about tripled in cost. So that's what he was worried about. So he put me in touch with a couple other binderies, and I've been calling them too. So we will look for best price that we can get. I'm talking to one in Boston. I'm talking to one down in town.
South Dennis.
Yeah, down by Yarmouth. So whoever can, they're all three of them are very reputable. All three of them say that the other one is very good. So there isn't one that's better than another. We're just fishing for maybe the people who had supplies already on hand and don't have to go spend the inflated price for them now.
Good, thank you.
I had a question.
Sure.
With all the digitizing we've done lately, is that something that could be done with the book?
With great difficulty. These pages are from 1857. So putting them through a scanner is pretty pretty scary. The Secretary of State does not recommend it. Preserving them is what almost all town and city clerks are doing. We've digitized the things that are more modern that we can get to. And perhaps these could be done when someone at the library has enough time to take the books apart and very carefully put each page through. There's 275 pages in this book. And
yeah, sure.
our preservationist, he will wash them first with some sort of acid that will protect the paper and the ink to clean them all up before they're bound in a book. And he'll put all sorts of they have little strips of special paper that cover any tears and all of that sort of thing to cover them while they're doing them. So yeah, digitization sounds great. It's just for these really, really fragile ancient documents, it's pretty tricky.
Yeah,
great.
well, thanks. Yep, the answers.
Yep, good question.
Some places will do digitization, restoration, and digitization, but I don't have any clue what the cost would be for somebody outside to do the digitization, if we even thought about wanted to go that way.
And we don't have the facilities in the office.
No, it'd have to be external. Whoever the restoration company, excuse me, the restoration company might give you a hint on that.
It's a good thought. It's a good thought. It would be wonderful to have all this digitized and be able to use like that. That would be wonderful. We'd still want to keep the historical book, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To have the handwriting, to have the real spelling of the names, and all that sort of stuff. So
good. And one thing to note on the application, even though Marilee has submitted it, if we vote for her tonight, it still has to go through the town council and their 2 readings and all that. She will, unfortunately, on our end, townspeople, and it no longer be town clerk, probably fortunately in her mind. So even though she submitted the application, the project contact would more than likely be the new town clerk with the help of Jolie Sprague Martin for that. So if there's no other discussion on it, I think it's a worthwhile project. I love looking. I remember going into the archives in Boston to do some research, and the old books, it's amazing to look through. And I think it's great that we still have them in town. So I would entertain a motion to
motion to approve for 3,000.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, so that was Harry and Jeff. Harry, can you put into, my thought is, oops, that's not Jeff's name. There we go. Let me correct that. We need to, when we send it to the town council, we need to say what account it's coming out of. My thought is it should come from the historical reserve. And I think Marilee was also, for her application, was hoping for the support from the historic district and the historical commission for their supports from the members that are here tonight.
So if I can add a friendly amendment, that would be to restore the death book as noted in Marilee's letter, and the account number for the historic reserve account is 324200.
Okay, good. Harry and Jeff.
I'm adding that to the motion.
Right.
Is that okay? Whoever motioned it.
Harry and Jeff.
I agree to the edition.
Same.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none. Josh, roll call.
Gina,
Yes.
Carlton,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Maureen.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilee, for your application, and we'll copy you on the information going to the council.
Thanks.
And thank you for sitting through our meeting. Okay, next committee liaison reports. I can start for Parks and Rec, and I have no updates on it. Well, I shouldn't say that. We're looking at uses for the Jenny Leonard Park on Cherry Street. I do have to check and see. The town manager had to accept for the town the piece of land given by the developers for the development behind, to accept a piece of land. I'm not sure if he has done that
Parking
yet.
lot
We're
and
probably
trail.
not. Yeah, we're looking into that. And basically that's it for me. Bill, for the historic district, any updates?
We're having a meeting in a couple of weeks. We've got some applications for certificates of appropriateness for signage and also for the installation of some solar panels on a building in the district. So that will be an important meeting. The installer keeps postponing the meeting regarding the solar panels, but it's going to be in a couple of weeks now.
Okay, great. We'll keep an eye out for that one. Jeff, for historic.
Yeah, for the historical commission, we have a demo delay meeting coming up next Tuesday, the 30th, for 96 Main Street. I'm not too familiar with that property, but David, if I remember right, David seemed to know that it had some historical significance. So,
which property is that? I'm trying to.
Not too familiar with it.
Okay, is it? I wonder if it's before Union Street, after.
What was the address again, please?
96
Main Street.
Is that Enos's property, that yellow house setback?
Oh no.
That large yellow house?
Yeah. Do you know which one it is, Bill?
No, I don't, but I know that house, but I don't know the address of that. I just hope it's not that house.
Okay.
It
I'm
might
not
be.
sure. That's interesting. Okay, Jeff, anything else? Thank you for that tidbit too.
No, that's all.
Okay. Harry? Anything for Concom?
Conservation, we're meeting tomorrow night. The Pleasant Street Fire Department location, we just got a peer review this morning. So that's being continued to the next meeting, May 9th. Claremont Properties, they're still going over their peer review, getting things fixed. That one's being continued to May 9th. And then we have some other smaller items. And I think on one of the meetings coming up, we'll be doing the Perkins Foundation building and stuff there.
Good.
So that's coming up.
Great. You guys are going to be busy too.
Harry, has anybody spoken with you about holding the Concom holding conservation restrictions?
On
Just in general.
Yeah, Hanson's Farm is Wildlands Trust. They're working with them.
Okay.
And now the others usually Wildlands Trust is buying up as much land as they can.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, who else do we have here? Bill, Josh. Maureen, open space.
Hello. Not a whole lot. I guess the only real update is that over at Wyman Meadows, where Wildland is trying to get the log boards across, they've decided they need more. And so they're going to have to, are looking for permission to increase what they're putting out there. They're also looking for this, I think the town's help in dropping rock for the, stones for the parking area. Because of course, with all this rain, nobody can really get out there, turn their vehicle around and get back out again without maybe needing a tow, because I guess it's very swampy out there right now.
Mhm.
So it's work in progress.
Good, thank you.
Maureen, have you guys begun talking about the open space plan needs to be updated? I think next year it expires mid next 2025 or something like that. Have you guys begun talking about how we're going to fund that?
Oh, no, I'll have to bring that up.
You might want to start thinking about that, because I don't know if I think we could potentially, this, I'm not saying we can or
What?
or won't, but some of those kinds of reports and can be funded through CPA funds, maybe the admin account. So just asking for future planning.
Okay, I'll pass that on.
Okay, Maureen, I'm going to pass on to her. I'm not sure if Eileen got it for open space. The message from Kitty, one of the that I mentioned before in talking about the state farm trails and connecting the three towns river-wise. One of the things she had noted in there was for some of the grants they're applying for. She said there's numerous grants, but there has to be an up-to-date open space plan. So I will forward that on, and maybe it's something that open space can look at too and contribute to Kitty's meeting.
Yeah, I will add to that. Our plan is good until 2025 timeframe. So
Right.
it's good to go right now, but what if we get delays, then we have an issue.
Sure, okay.
Right, good. So I'll send that on. I think I hit all of us for committees. Upcoming events, town election next Saturday, or this Saturday, the 27th, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the middle school. Again, coalition training, it's an online training, boot camp. They call it their boot camp training, is June 18th. We can send that information out to the committee too.
Gina, I noticed a guest hand has come up. Janet is asking.
Okay.
For permission to speak.
I see two up, Marilee and Janet. Up, Marilee's one down. Janet.
Hi, Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street, Bridgewater. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Just real quick, that you had the question of what 96 Main Street is. It is that yellow house across from Pearl Street. It is that big, beautiful yellow house.
Oh my goodness.
Same thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
Thank you. I noticed it. It used to be so gorgeous when the Enorses owned it. And I keep noticing it's getting more and more into disrepair.
The planning board had meetings on it quite a few months ago, maybe it was last year, quite a few months ago on it, and they were trying to rezone, because half of it was residential, half of it is whatever the zoning is. So they were trying to make it so that it would, because the person who owns it can't do something because they want to probably make apartments or some like we need it there. So they did it so that the I think it was approved so they could change it so that it wasn't half and half, because then they would have a hard time doing whatever they want to do. But it is that yellow house. And I had a quick question. If you digitize a book, you keep the original book though, right? You don't get rid of the actual book, the historical books, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But Janet, you do have to take them apart.
Yeah, but I mean, you do
digitize it. Yeah.
Yeah, but they do keep the book. I mean, do they put them back together? No.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
it depends on if somebody's going to pay to put it back together.
Oh, okay.
I think it depends on who's doing it and what it is, you know.
Yeah. I hate to see the original books, get destroyed. So that's why it's always neat to see them. So
yeah,
not that I've seen them.
We're in agreement by that. I would never recommend tearing it apart, digitizing it, and throwing it away.
Yeah. Okay.
But it all costs money.
Okay. I just wanted to let you know which house it was.
Thank you. Great. Thank you so much. And Merrily too, thank you for checking which house. Good question too, Janet, on digitizing with the original book, keeping the original book. We don't have on here, because we don't usually do chair's comments at the end, but I'm going to add comments in here. I want to thank the CPC for showing up monthly for these meetings. I realize the past few months they've been mostly updates, but we will have with the Hanson's Farm coming through and a few other applications. We will get busier, I promise. But I do want to thank all of you for your dedication. It makes my job that much easier. So thank you all. And we're getting good for cutting down time for meetings too. But okay, the next meeting date is May 22nd. I think we'll still be virtual. At some point, we will go hybrid. And if nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, Bill and Jeff? Was that
wasn't me. I didn't say anything.
Okay, I thought you raised your hand. Bill made the motion. A second?
I'll second.
I'll do it.
Okay, great. This meeting is adjourned at 7:48.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.